Let us start our first topic in first paper of JAB, which is Indian Economy, IE&FS, and the first module of first unit is an overview of Indian economy. So in this first topic, we are having it evaluation of Indian economy. So according to the IMF, what is IMF? International Monetary Fund, India's contribution of global GDP, which is we can say gross domestic product. The value is 7.3% in 2001. In terms of GDP, purchasing power parity, which is PPP, India is ranked third in the world only after USA and China. And the first rank is USA and the second is China. They may ask this question, what is the rank of India in purchasing power parity? It is the third rank. And now we are discussing basic characteristics of Indian economy. World Bank classifies economics considering how they are considering per capita income, right? There are how many categories of Indian economy is characterized? 4 categories. The first one is low income, lower middle income, upper middle income, higher income. You can remember this as lower income, middle income, higher income. In middle income there are 2 categories, which is lower middle income, upper middle income. Okay. Next, some of the factors including what are lower per capita real income. Just remember these things: rapid population growth, a high rate of unemployment, underemployment and disguised unemployment, excessive reliance on the primary sector, a vicious circle of poverty, rising unemployment. So, in 1950, what is the dominating sector in Indian economy? Agriculture. Agriculture is the dominating sector in the Indian economy in 1950. The percentage of GDP of agriculture is 53.1%. In which year? 1950. Industry had a 16.6% share, while services has a 13.3% share. There are so many percentages, but it's difficult to remember. But just remember few percentages, which I will say those are important. In 1980-81, the services sector 38% of GDP. Here the services percentage is 38%. Surpassed agriculture, means in 1980-81 agriculture has lagged on, the service sector has become the largest contributor to India's GDP. In 1980, what is the largest contributor in India's GDP? It's the service sector. The industry remained third with a 25.9% share. In 1980-81, which is the first one? It is service sector, and the second is agriculture, and the third is industry. Next, Indian economy in British period. Under British rule, India remains a low quality labor market, right? Who first discussed it? Dadabhai Naoroji, who published the first estimates of national income in India in his book Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. They will ask who is the author of Poverty and Un-British Rule in India? It is Dadabhai Naoroji. In which year? 1867-68. This is also important. Just remember, according to him, British India's national income was, how much was national income? 340 crore. And per capita income was 20 rupees per annum. After that, according to former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, at the turn of the 20th century, India was the brightest jewel in the British crown and the poorest country in the world in terms of per capita income. We have discussed earlier how they are doing it. It is, we are calculating economics considering per capita income. So just remember it. British era. There are 3 phases. The first phase, the foundation of East India Company in 1600 AD. And the second phase is Battle of Plassey. And the third phase is began in 1857 when the British quashed the Sepoy Mutiny. This period was ranked by colonial exploitation through desindustrialization, agriculture, commercialization, wealth drain, and westernization of Indian economy. Home charges. During the time of direct British control from 1858 to 1947, the colonial government's official transfers of monies to the UK were referred as the home charges. What we can say as the home charges? Official transfers of monies into the UK were referred as home charges. Dividends to East India Company shareholders, interest on loans raised by the Government of India in England, expenditure on British army stationed in India, bringing them to India, pensions, annuities of retired British officers, payment of guaranteed interest to railway companies, and salaries of the Secretary of State for India and his staff were all included in home charges. They mentioned all are comes under the home charges. Okay. Economy till first is 1951 to 1980. In 1978, Professor Rajkumar, who coined the phrase Hindu rate of growth. Hindu rate of growth. Who introduced this is the phrase Raj Krishna, Professor Raj Krishna. What is the meaning of Hindu rate of growth? Slow growth of the Indian economy. He discussed about slow growth of the Indian economy. In 1980 to 1990, which is of the next stage, only during the 6th 5-year plan. It is 6th 5-year plan. Okay. 1980 to 85, India could break the curse of the Hindu rate of growth. Here, India could curse of the Hindu rate of growth. 1990 to 2008. This is popularly referred as a post-reform period. What is the post-reform period? It is 1990 to 2008. The implementation of reforms and the adoption of LPG. What is the full form of LPG? Liberalization, privatization, globalization. Policies paved the way for positive economic outcomes and higher GDP growth rates. Just remember the full form of LPG. 2008 to 2021. In order to what is this period indicates? To mitigate the efforts of the crisis, the government provided physical stimulus to the economy. The economy was bolstered by 3 stimulus packages. What are these 3 stimulus packages? What the value comes of combined 3 stimulus packages is 1.86 lakh crore, which is 3.5% of GDP. The RBI dramatically eased monetary conditions and injected a whopping 5.6 lakh crore, roughly 9% of GDP in domestic and external liquidity. Structural changes in Indian economy. Indian economy post COVID-19 means before COVID-19. COVID-19 was declared as pandemic when by whom? WHO on March 11, 2020. What is the first state in India identified COVID-19? It's Kerala. After being first reported officially in China toward the end of December 2019. What is the primary sector? It's related to agriculture, forestry, fishing and mining. Just remember these things. Over the years, the contribution of the primary sector to India's GDP has been declining. As income levels rising and the economy will develop, right? The share of agriculture and related activities in India had steadily decreased. Agriculture share. In 1990, we already discussed 26.9% of India's GDP. By 2000, it is 21.6%, where the share is decreased for agriculture. The decline continued, reaching 17.8% in 2010 and 17.7%. These values are nothing necessary, but this shows how agriculture has decreased its GDP. By decreasing agriculture, there is a growth of service sector, which has led the structural transformation of the Indian economy. What is secondary sector? Involved in manufacturing and construction. Here we are discussing agriculture, forestry, fishing, mining. Here manufacturing, construction. While the contribution of the secondary sector has increased over time, it eventually becomes surpassed by the tertiary sector. And again, we are discussing tertiary sector. Here we are discussing the services, which is banking, financing, trade, hospitality, education, healthcare and more. In India, the service sector has experienced substantial growth. There is a super substantial growth and dominates the economy. It has largely replaced the industrial sector, indicating a shift towards a service-led economy. So, this is the last of the topic in the Unit 1 Module A. I hope everyone understands this and have a nice study.